Hey everyone, Kane here. So in this one, we will be checking talk. So first things first, the equipment. So as you can see, I currently have a general Drake set on him to grant all of the abilities +1. Now, compared to many other general heroes, if you get at least one of the general Drake sets, like full sets, it has to go on top. Like, I don't think that there is another general hero which would benefit more than talk. Of course, if you're playing human, you may want it on something like Avalon, but that is like the only exception. In any other race, you want this hero with the Drake sets instead, and then the other three equipment based on the stats that you may require with the highest values in the stats that you require. So for me, I am going for stamina and magic since currently in my own particular stage in the game, uh, magic and stamina are kind of the best ones to go for. I don't really go that much for command. So as you can see, most of them are magic and stamina. Now again, if I would go for like magic and command, I would have these two values easily above like 6,000. Like there is like almost no exception or whatever. I would have both of these over 6,000, like maybe 6,300 if not more. So yeah, that can change quite rapidly, but or rather rapidly, but currently that's what I'm going for and that's what I'm building. Since both magic and stamina are quite a decent part of my field. So equipment aside, the artifact. So the artifact that I'm using on him is I place him somewhere around the middle where people don't really focus him because they are either going for Gazul on one side of the field in my stall side, or they're going for my burst side in terms of mages and other stuff. Not really people, like they don't really focus talking in the middle, at least for me, and he happens to survive for a majority of the time. And if he would die regardless, I don't really lose that much of like important heroes compared to what I can possibly lose on my field. And they potentially may waste like abilities or important abilities that they could have used better than on talk. However, he does have good stuff on him, and this Ring of Ragnir is kind of good as it can cast a graviton surge on the enemy field, basically pulling the enemy archers and them not doing as much DPS as they would be able. Unfortunately, this doesn't really do that much damage, but pretty much you may want to get this just for the graviton surge since it can really mess up something like Rakan archers, can mess up a decent amount of damage from literally any other ranged unit of the enemy. Now, prisms, they are pretty random. You can put almost any prism on him. I have a buffing prism, and I sometimes swap depending on whether he's dying quicker, whether he's dying slower. It doesn't really matter to even show. Stats, nothing really that important. It depends on level, depends on prisms, depends on many other things. So since he's not a DPS, it's not really that important. But of course, the higher HP, the more he survives. Now, in terms of abilities, you have to have a couple of sets. One set if you're playing Rakan, one set if you're playing literally anything else. So this one I'm using when I am playing anything but Rakan. So I have Feng Shui Master level 10 for the buffs, I have Prophetic Trance for the buffs, and then I have Zen State to grant more of his divination effects, or stronger effects rather, and then Clairvoyance increasing the efficacy of those spells. Now, if I'm playing Rakan, I turn this hero totally into a literal buffer. So I have Tortoise Mastery level 10, and I don't believe that there is any trinket that would be able to do this. Same for a heavyweight, I don't think that there is rather any trinket. And then you have Feng Shui, Prophetic Trance, Zen State, or rather Zen State not leveled, but Feng Shui and Trance you have leveled. Now, I do think Clairvoyance and also Zen's, they do have the plus one equipments. I do think both of these also have, but these two they don't have. That is why Drake set is kind of important for Rakan players. These two abilities are pretty friggin' huge on a Rakan field, like huge. So without them, essentially the field is a tad bit weaker. That aside, yeah, there is not really much to talk about those skills in particular, except you would be checking those skills in terms of potential. So let's check the potential together. Clairvoyance increasing the efficacy. This is god awful useless. And then we have Tortoise Mastery. So the Exalted adds 25% towards the turtle, which will increase its HP. And increasing turtle's HP increases the regeneration effect on all of the, I suppose, Shalonians, which are Blade Masters or Khan Archers, all of that kind of stuff. Adds a lot of tankiness on your field. So this is pretty frigging good for Rakan players. Then we have the 50.1, which will be heavyweight. Doesn't does not affect the ale itself, but grants a buff of 20% attack and 15% bonus damage mitigation for whenever you ale. So that one is actually pretty good, I suppose. It has bonus attacks, so archers will hit harder, and bonus damage mitigation, so frontline will be a bit more tanky. But even then, if you ALD Rakan Blaze, they usually don't really take damage because with a particular variant build and the Blade Master Iaijutsu effect, they just get insane amount of damage reduction that they just take no damage whatsoever. So this one kind of increases, but this one is actually also important for the archers. So if they get more damage mitigation, of course, they're gonna be less likely to be literally one-shotted. So this can work on both and also kind of helps out the archers to, I suppose, survive at least a couple of seconds longer. And then you have Feng Shui Master, increases all humanoid creatures by 10% bonus attack across all terrain. Now, I'm not entirely sure why it says humanoid creatures, right? So probably they may wanted to add something like friggin' Sylvani archers. Like they could have had all humanoids, right? Just add an S. Like why do they have creatures in here? Like what? Question mark? What the hell? Yeah, so this is I'm just confused about this wording right here because humanoids are not creatures, they're friggin' humanoids for a reason. So yeah, let's move on from that. The 70.1 prophetic trance. Now this one is actually pretty friggin' good. It turns from 10 seconds to 20, and I believe the divination bonuses granted in quick succession can stack. So this is friggin' 10 out of 10. This can stack quite a bit of times and can have some pretty friggin' beastly effects at the very beginning of the battle. So yeah, this one is pretty friggin' good regardless of whatever race you're playing. And then Zen State got awful useless, so this one is pretty much important. Now, the potential in terms of the buffs available, if you're Rakan, the buffs are friggin' incredible. If you're not Rakan, the buffs are so-so. Like, you need to invest so much just to get, like, Feng Shui. You will need to invest so much to get the prophetic trance. There are better heroes to invest majority of your potential points in to get more and more benefits than the talk. But of course, it really depends what kind of a spender you are. If you are spending quite a bit of money and to get level 70 in terms of like potentials is pretty easy for you, then you might want to go for the prophetic trance as well as the feng shui master. It will highly likely increase your DPS on your field depending what archers you're using, and also just by getting this, everything on your field will perform more because I believe this divination, as it says, grants bonus damage, attack speed, and health. So it literally helps with everything: damage, the faster attacking, health. Increasing health will increase, I suppose, those healing abilities or regeneration abilities and whatever for heroes. I believe those heroes regenerating with Band of Bishops would then, I suppose, heal a bit more. Like all of this essentially would stack up and be quite a bit more useful. Anyways, I suppose that is pretty much it for the video. Honestly, I am kind of surprised with the potential it has. Like pretty good stuff, and I suppose whenever I will be turning back to Rakan, I'll highly likely want to have 35 in the potential almost instantly. Anyways, for me, it's time for bed. Hopefully you found this video useful, and if you did, do hit that subscribe button. It would help me out a lot. Thanks for watching. Take care and stay safe out there.